When a brain aneurysm put me in the hospital for a week, I had no idea that what felt like a detour in life was actually the beginning of a complete unraveling of everything I thought I knew about myself. But you don't need a brain aneurysm to end up in the same place. Maybe it was the day your last kid left for college and the house went quiet. Maybe it was menopause hitting you like a freight train. Maybe it was a divorce or a layoff or looking in the mirror one day and really not recognizing the woman looking back. Whatever it was, you ended up in the same place as I did, wondering, who am I now? Stay, because we're going to have a talk about why everything is hitting us all at once and why not knowing who you are right now is not the end of the story. It might actually be the beginning of something, and something good. I'm Caroline. I'm right here in the middle of all of this with you, so let's talk. I don't know about you, but I have had several moments of thinking, why am I having such a hard time right now? It's not like I haven't dealt with hard things before. It's not like I haven't navigated difficult changes like this before. I mean, for heaven's sakes, we're Gen X women. We're the generation that navigated all kinds of major technological and social changes, and we figured things out on our own. We didn't complain, and we kept going. We have dealt with challenges and changes and hard seasons our entire lives. That's what we do. But here's what's different about midlife, and you're probably fully aware of this, but maybe not just giving yourself credit for it. It's not one hard thing. It's not even 2 or 3 hard things. It's everything all at once, stacked on top of each other. Like life took a look at your plate and said, here, have some more, and some more, and some more. And that's what this season feels like. That's what midlife feels like. That's why it's hitting harder than anything that you and I have navigated before, because you're not dealing with a problem, you're dealing with all the problems simultaneously while running on empty. So let's name them. For most of us in this season, there's menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause, whatever stage you're in right now. And I don't just mean the hot flashes and the sleepless nights and the body that suddenly doesn't respond the way that it used to. I mean the emotional piece that nobody warns you about. Because here's what they don't tell you. Menopause doesn't just change your body. For a lot of women, it cracks open emotional stuff that has been buried for years, decades even. Grief you thought you'd processed, anger you thought you'd moved past, old wounds you thought were healed, feelings you didn't even know were there. Your hormones shift and your defenses come down, and suddenly all of this starts surfacing. And you're standing in the middle of your own life feeling like a stranger in it. That happened to me. It started in perimenopause, but what really set it off for me was when I had the brain inflammation with that aneurysm that I talked about. Same result, different trigger. Suddenly, I was face to face with things I didn't even know I had been carrying my whole life. And it was overwhelming and disorienting and completely unexpected. So if menopause has you feeling like you don't recognize yourself emotionally, you are not losing your mind. Your body is doing something real and significant, and the emotional fallout is part of it. But menopause is not all that's going on. Maybe for you, it's also the empty nest. You spent decades being somebody's everything, the scheduler, the chauffeur, the emotional anchor, the one who knew where everything was and what everybody needed. And then they left, and the house went quiet. And you realize that the role that you had poured yourself into for a huge chunk of your life ended, and nobody gave you a transition plan for it. Nobody prepared you for the silence or for the question that follows it. Okay, now what? Who am I when I'm not somebody's everything? Even if they're not gone, even if they're still young enough to be home or old enough to not be home, but they're there anyway, or they moved out living their adult lives. No matter what the situation is, it's a huge change. Add on to those job loss or job stagnation or feeling completely trapped in a career that no longer fits who you are and feeling like it's too late to do anything about it. Because what we do becomes so intertwined with who we are that when the career shifts or disappears or starts feeling like a cage, so does our sense of identity. Especially for women who fought so hard to build something, who maybe introduced themselves by their title, who measured their worth by what they achieved. And now that's gone, or feels completely wrong, or feels like it belongs to a different version of you. Then there's divorce, or the loss of a spouse, the identity of a partner, of us, suddenly gone or fundamentally changed. Maybe changed because the kids are gone and you're discovering your relationship without them there. Maybe you've planned well for retirement and you're right on track, but what's happening in the economy is making your heart race a little. Maybe you aren't nearly prepared as what you need to be, and you're trying to figure out if you're ever going to be able to retire. Maybe life situations happen that sucked your whole retirement plan down the drain, and you're starting from scratch like me. And that is absolutely terrifying. And while all of that is happening, your parents are aging, the world is getting crazier, and things are going on and changing for you left and right, things I probably haven't even brought up yet. It's not that any one of these things would be impossible to handle on its own. You've handled hard things before, just like we said. You know how to do that. It's that they're all happening at the same time, all of them, right now. Like life ran you over and kept on going. And somewhere in the middle of that, you looked up and realized you didn't know who you were anymore. What's your part? Where do you fit? What do you even want out of life now and in the future? That's not weakness. That's what happens when everything that used to define you shifts all at once. So let's talk about what happens on the inside when all of these things hit at once. Our brains try to make sense of it. They look for meaning. It builds a story. And the story it tells us in the middle of all that chaos is usually not a kind one. The stories sound like this. I've lost myself. I used to know who I was. I used to have dreams and passions and clear sense of where I was going. And somewhere between the soccer practice and the work deadlines and keeping everyone else's life together, I disappeared and I don't even know where I went. Or it sounds like I don't recognize myself anymore. And I mean that literally. The body I lived in comfortably for decades is shifting in ways I didn't ask for and I didn't expect. Things I took pride in, or at least I felt at home with, my weight, my skin, my hair, my energy, the way I carried myself, all of it feels different now. The confidence I had in my own appearance, even if it was a quiet confidence, that's wavering too. So it's not just that I feel like a stranger in my own life, I feel like a stranger in my own body, inside and outside at the same time, and nobody warned me that this was coming. I must be failing somehow. Everybody else seems to know who they are and where they're going. Why don't I? Shouldn't I have this figured out by now? I'm in my 40s, my 50s. What's wrong with me? And the heaviest story, the one that sits at the bottom of all the others, maybe this is just who I am now. Maybe I missed my window. Maybe it's too late to become someone different. Maybe the woman I used to be or the woman I always wanted to become, maybe that's just gone. Those are the stories, and they feel absolutely true when everything is shifting all at once. And here's what makes them even harder. They feel like grief, because they are grief. You are mourning the woman you used to be, the one who had it figured out, while not yet knowing who is taking her place. That grief is real and it's valid. But here's what I want you to hear. Those stories, those thoughts, that shame, that is not the truth about who you are. That is what happens when everything shifts at once and your brain tries to make sense of the wreckage. The triggers didn't create those stories, they revealed them. A lot of those beliefs were already there, quietly running in the background, maybe for decades. And this is worth paying attention to because that's a bigger conversation for another day. Today, I just want you to know you are not alone in this, you are not broken, and it is not too late. Now, I want to say something really important here, and I want to draw a line because I think this matters. There is a big difference between not knowing who you are anymore and believing that something is fundamentally wrong with you. Not knowing who you are anymore sounds like maybe I used to love my work and now it feels meaningless, or I don't know what I want anymore. I feel lost without the role I've been playing. I don't recognize my life anymore. I need to figure out who I am in this new season. Those are real and they're painful, but they are situational. They're responses to real circumstances that have changed, and they can shift as you shift. On the other hand, core beliefs sound different. They go deeper and they have been there way longer. And they sound like, I'm broken. I'm not worthy of love. I don't deserve good things. I am too much, or I'm not enough. I'm fundamentally defective somehow. Bad things happen to me because of who I am. Do you hear the difference? One is about your circumstances, and the other is about your worth as a human being. For me, the brain inflammation from the aneurysm cracked both of those things open at the same time. I was dealing with not knowing who I was anymore, and I was suddenly face to face with core beliefs I didn't even know had been operating inside of me my whole life. Things I had been carrying since childhood that I thought I had dealt with or that I just never examined at all. And I want to be honest, untangling those two has been some of the hardest work of my life. If what you're experiencing is, I don't know who I am in this season, that's what we're going to start working on today. But if something in you just went quiet, or you got a little teary when I listed those core beliefs, if something in you recognized itself in those words, if it felt like a description and more like something you've believed about yourself for as long as you can remember, you're probably right. And that is not something to be ashamed of. That is something to be curious about. But that is a much bigger conversation than we have time for today, and it deserves its own space. For now, just knowing the difference is enough, and I promise you we will have those other conversations at another time. So here's the reframe I want to offer you today. This one has helped me more than anything else in the middle of all of this. You are not lost. You are just between versions of yourself. And that, as hard and disorienting as it feels right now, is actually one of the most powerful places a woman can be. Think about everything that you have built. Think about everything you've given, everything you've navigated, and everything you've survived and figured out. You have lived a full life and have loved deeply. You have shown up for people in ways that mattered. And now, in this season, something new is becoming possible. It's a chance to ask yourself a question that maybe has been lost in the beautiful chaos of everything you've been building. What do I want to be now? Not instead of everything that you've already been, but in addition to, beyond it, because of it. What do you want? What lights you up? What have you been quietly curious about or quietly longing for that kept getting pushed to the back burner? You have decades of wisdom, experience, and hard-won self-knowledge that you didn't have at 25. You know yourself in ways that you couldn't have known back then. And now you have the chance to use all of that information for you. That is not a crisis. That is an invitation. You are not done. You are not too late, and you are not broken. You are becoming. And when we think about it that way, it no longer feels scary. It feels liberating. It no longer feels like something is wrong. It feels like everything is happening as it should be. That life is opening a new door for you to walk through. So here's the one thing I want to suggest to you to do this week. Not find yourself. That's too big. That's not a week's worth of work. That's a journey. And we're going to do that together over time. This week, let's just do this. One small thing. Let's just get quiet enough to hear yourself. I know that it sounds simple, but for most of us, getting quiet is actually really hard because the moment that we stop and have a break, that's when our brain fills up that space with the loops that we talked about in the last video. The lists, the replays, the what ifs. So this week, I challenge you to just carve out 10 minutes, just 10, not to be productive, not to plan or organize or figure anything out, just to sit with yourself and ask one question. What do I actually want right now? Not what everyone else needs from me, not what I should be doing, not what's on the list. What do I want? It might feel strange. It might feel selfish. You might draw a complete blank like I did. I had no idea how to answer that question because all I've been focused on is getting through the day and surviving. And that's okay. That blank, that giant question mark, is information. It shows how long it's been since someone has asked you that question, including yourself. So just sit with it, write down whatever comes up, even if it's nothing, even if it's I don't have the foggiest idea. Even if it's just, I want to go to sleep for a week. That's a start. That's you beginning to listen to yourself again. And that is where everything starts. And if you want to go deeper than just sitting with it, and if you're ready to actually start exploring that question on paper, the journal is waiting for you. It's called When Life Feels Like Too Much, and it's at joyreturning.com. That's where we do this work step by step together, page by page at your own pace. And there are also grounding tools there for you when you need to come back to yourself first before you can even begin to dig into the answer to these questions. So here's where we are. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are a woman in the middle of one of the most significant transitions of her life. With everything shifting all at once, the body, the roles, the relationships, the career, and underneath all of that, a question that is finally beginning to be loud enough to be heard: who am I now? That question is not a sign of something that went wrong. It's a sign that something is ready to begin. And that, my friend, when you really think about it, is really exciting. This is video 6 in our survival mode series. If you're just finding this channel, there's a link to the playlist at the end of this video and in the description below. I'd start from the beginning so that you follow the whole process that I am taking us through. Come back Sunday, because that's where we begin to talk about making peace with yourself, with where you are and who you are becoming. Please hit subscribe so you don't miss Sunday, and leave a comment. What is the one thing that you used to love about yourself and your life that feels like it's gotten lost somewhere along the way? Just one thing, drop it below. I see you. I'm right here with you, doing this work right alongside you. I'll see you soon.